Let's talk about how exactly to day trade with a full-time job and actually be consistently profitable as a result. This is going to be the number one trick that most people don't know because a lot of times people come to me and say, "Hey, Maurice, I want to day trade for a living or I want to day trade so I can make a lot of money." But they say, "I just have a job where I work 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week, or whatever, or two jobs, three jobs sometimes. So I just don't have the time to do it. So I guess I'll do it in the next 20 years when things change." I'm telling you, you don't have to wait that long. And I'm telling you, you don't even need a lot of hours just to day trade and be profitable. So let me talk about the real trick to how you can actually make this a reality. So first things first, let's talk about why it actually seems hard in general. So misconception wise, most people think that they need to watch the chart 24/7 and catch maybe a huge move flying upward. I'm telling you that's not the case. In reality, if you just create a plan, then you can actually let the trades come to you. And as a result, you can actually day trade for 10 to 30 minutes max per day, as long as you actually catch the right moves. It's the core principle of this. And I'm going to show you exactly what that really means. But with just this quote in itself, and I'll show you it's not BS very soon, with just this quote in itself, you can kind of think about it to say, like, okay, if you're working 8, 10, maybe even 12 hours a day, can you just find 10 minutes, 10 little minutes to make a trade? Go to the restroom and make a trade. Realistically, if you ever a meeting, you're like, oh, let me go to the restroom. That's what I did when I was in IT. I was in a meeting, and then I'll show you how exactly to know what the trades are going on, even though while you're in a meeting. In a meeting, then I walked out, boom, make a trade, come back in, made some money while trading, go, and I'm successfully going back to the meeting. There's a way to actually make that work. So now let's talk about what you'll actually need in order to trade simply. The first piece you'll need is just actually understanding that you only need to trade the SPY ticker, and that's literally it. There's over 8,000 different tickers in the stock market period that you can potentially trade. I'm telling you, if you could just trade one correctly and make money with one, you don't need all 8,000. All the other 7,999 tickers, you can throw them out the window. Don't even look at them. Don't use a scanner to find the high percent gainer kind of thing that everyone else is doing, but it's not successful. Just trade one. Wouldn't you much rather trade one than trade all 8,000 potentially anyway? Just keep it simple. So first thing first, in order to keep it simple, narrow in on what you're actually trading. So just trade SPY. Second thing is you're going to actually use my strategy, which is supply and demand trading strategy. So it's just using zones. And on a 5-minute chart, if you're familiar with my videos at all, how to create that, you just create your zones on the 5-minute chart and done. To do this and that on a daily basis so far is maybe about 30 seconds if you know what you're doing so far. But you haven't made a trade yet. That's fine. You're only drawing zones. Third and final piece, this is the most important part so far of the video, which is in order to keep trading simply, you need to set an alarm and literally walk away from your computer. I'd argue that some of my best students in the one-on-one coaching program are the ones that have a full-time job because they're forced to not stare at the screen because essentially they need to draw their zones, set an alarm near the zone, and in order to wait for the trade to come back to your zone for a retest, they have to walk away and wait for the alarm to go off. You having a full-time job or a job where you work even more than 8 hours, I'd argue is better for you because most people have a problem of staring at the chart 24/7 to hope and dream that a trade's coming to them or they see a trade magically that's forming, and they're the ones that have it harder. Versus you that have a full-time job, you don't even you can't stare at the screen. You're just waiting for an alarm to go off. So let's talk more about that since you're again the lucky one. So this was a random day from a SPY chart from I think about a week ago or so, if I remember correctly. And if you're familiar with my strategy again, so this is a major supply zone at the earlier part of the day, right? So it's a agreement between green buyers and red sellers at the top at 430.93, and you draw it all the way over, right? So you can see it came down, tapped it, and ran down. This was actually a put play, by the way, an option put play, but we'll ignore that because we're not here for that. But just showing you like where the zones were and where potential plays were. So it came up, tapped it, ran down. You see it broke through, so a little breakout, but we don't play breakouts, so that's fine. Broke out, came back to tap it, and then ran up, right? So this is potentially play one. Came over. There's a very small zone here, so the green's between green buyers, red sellers. So it came down, went back up, boom, came back to tap it, bam, for an option call, and it ran up. So option two play is right here. Same thing here, greens between green buyers, red sellers. An agreement on this at 439.55. Came down, tapped a little bit, but it's in an all uptrending position on all day. So why would you take a put so that doesn't matter anyway. Broke through, came over, tapped it, bam, ran up for the third play. Came down again, tapped it, fourth play, bam, ran up. Came down, tapped it, fifth play, ran up. So now if you're thinking and walking through this in your head, you're like, okay, so again, Maurice, I don't have time to figure out these plays. This means almost nothing to me. So here's the catch. So if you draw this, so in the morning, if as long as you draw this zone in the morning, which after what, one, two candles, so 10 minutes, you just randomly look at your chart for a few seconds, you can see that these are two candles that are agreeing together. They're the highest point of the day. Let's say before nine. Let's say before 9 o'clock as an example to make it simple. So after from 8:30 to 9 o'clock. So two candles agree, draw the zone, and you basically would come over here, set an alarm, and think or swim. So you see, like I have like this little red line here, and that says alarm one. Set an alarm above the zone, and that way, once it comes back to this area, you get an alarm sounding directly to your phone to say, "Hey, the price has gone to three. What is it? 330. Was it 331.20 or so? Where this red line is. You should come back and potentially take a trade because your price action has been hit. Your price has been hit from price action perspective." So that's the alarm to sound off to say you should come back and maybe make the trade. So as soon as that happens, boom, you can catch it and it runs up. Same thing here, right? You drew a zone, it came back, you set an alarm a little bit above this zone in the first place, came back to tap it again on this red candle. You take the option call to the upside. Same thing here. The zone was here, came around, boom, boom, set an alarm when it finally came back. So it went all like this. Bam, came that to tap your alarm, and you can take the trade upward. Same thing, trade upward. Same thing, trade upward. You had 5 full times to take any of these trades throughout the day. The morning, the afternoon, not the evening, but morning, a little bit later in the day, and then I guess afternoon to a certain extent towards power hour. You had between, and time-wise, 9:30 to 9:45. This was about 10 o'clock a.m. CST, 11 o'clock a.m. CST, midnight. No, I'm sorry, midnight. Wow, I don't know. I said midnight. I just jumped from here to there. Jesus. But 12 o'clock, so lunchtime here, and then we go over here at 1400 hours. There's a lot of different trades you can actually take. And now here's the 1 minute chart of them. You can see a lot of them were very clean. And we're just for an example's sake, we're only going to look at this one here. You can see that the morning one came over, tapped it pretty nicely, and then ran up. So let's just say worst case scenario, you bought somewhere in here. You were a little late. You got the alarm, but you waited a little while. So you jumped in on this guy over here on this green candle, essentially between this green and red candle. But you can see it still ran up. So visually, it looks like okay. You're like okay, you bought it here at 432 on an option, maybe, and it went up to this. You're like okay, well that didn't fly up too high. I don't know if that's any money at all. That full time, man. I don't have time for that. Whatever. So, couple things. One, from buying here, so this is, let's see how long this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 minutes of it going up. Now, let's look how big of a move that actually is. That thing going from, this is the option contract, by the way, up here for SPY, same day expiration. From buying here at $1.50 for the option, going up to here, it goes to 2.17. That is a 45% gain on the option contract, same day expiration. You're telling me, again, if we go back to it, you capturing, if you work full time, you can literally capture a trade that goes from here all the way upward. Just as simple as that. And I know visually you all can see that. There was a zone, came over, came back, boom, tapped it, ran up. If this is a 45% gain, let's go back over here. If this is a 45% gain from here to here, this is also a 45% gain, give or take, depending on the option contract you buy, right? This is potentially also a 40% gain. This is also a 40% gain. This is also a 40% gain. If we make it worst case scenario, let's say it's 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. This is 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. If you hypothetically got all of these, this is 150% of a gain. Most people can't not even make a 2% gain. And you working a full-time job allows you the ability to actually set an alarm near your zones, wait for the trade to come to you to tap on top of the zone and run up and get a 150% gain of an entire day, or worst case scenario, a quote unquote crappy small 30% gain because you only did one. That's phenomenal. Not a lot of people can actually say that they can get a 45% gain on such an overly simple move to capture. So, with that being said, leave a comment down below if you have a full-time job and you think that you can actually do a strategy like this as long as you draw your zones, set your alarm, and actually take the trade. Do you think this strategy looks pretty simple? Leave a comment below saying, yes, I can do this, if that's the case.